There's something deeply exhausting about constantly trying to understand every detail of your life. You've been taught that clarity brings comfort, yet the more answers you chase, the more lost you seem to feel. The paradox is unsettling. The harder you strive for certainty, the more uncertain life becomes. Pause for a moment and honestly ask yourself, how many genuine moments of peace have you let slip away because you were too busy trying to figure out something that didn't truly need to be solved? How many late night hours have you wasted analyzing a single word someone said or a silence they didn't explain? We convince ourselves that understanding brings peace, but maybe it's the relentless pursuit itself that's causing your anxiety. Could it be that the real reason behind your constant search for answers isn't about clarity at all, but a deeper, hidden fear of facing life's uncertainty? Carl Jung gently pointed towards something he called synchronicity, the quiet connections between seemingly unrelated moments. He suggested that life doesn't always need you to decode it, but rather invites you to be present enough to sense its deeper connections, even when things don't immediately make sense. Maybe the peace you've been desperately seeking isn't found in absolute clarity, but in your ability to trust life's hidden rhythms. There's a deeper truth behind this compulsive need to understand everything, but most people aren't ready to face it, at least not yet. What about you? Are you ready to finally let go of needing every answer? Or will you continue sacrificing today's peace for tomorrow's uncertain clarity? The obsession with clarity is quietly exhausting your mind. Deep down, you might believe that if you could just understand every hidden meaning, every unanswered question, life would somehow feel safe, predictable, and manageable. But is that truly what happens? Or does your relentless pursuit of absolute clarity actually leave you more anxious, more uncertain, and more confused than ever before? Think about the last time you received a simple message that you didn't immediately open. Maybe it was late, you were busy, or perhaps you were afraid of what it might contain. How much emotional energy did you waste? How many hours did you spend trapped inside your own thoughts, inventing entire narratives around that single unread message? You created scenarios, assumptions, even arguments in your head, only to finally open it and realize that none of what you imagined was even remotely true. Isn't it strange how easily your mind creates unnecessary suffering just because you don't have instant clarity? It's like your phone running out of battery in the middle of an important moment. The more desperately you try to power it back on, pressing buttons again and again, the more helpless and frustrated you feel. The screen remains dark. Your anxiety grows. Your attempts to gain control only leave you feeling increasingly powerless. Ask yourself this honestly. Are you genuinely seeking clarity, or is it actually a sense of safety you crave? Is the need to understand everything simply your way of protecting yourself from the discomfort of uncertainty? But the story doesn't stop here. What would happen if, just for a moment, you decided to let go of this exhausting quest to make sense of it all? Not everything that happens in your life requires a logical explanation or a neatly packaged reason. True maturity and genuine peace often lie in the quiet acceptance of ambiguity, knowing fully well that some things simply don't have clear answers, and that's perfectly fine. Consider Alex, a 32-year-old who recently lost his job without warning. For days, he locked himself away, dissecting every conversation, every email, every possible misstep he might have made. He blamed himself, analyzed endlessly, and searched for reasons to justify why this happened. Yet the more he tried, the heavier his mind became, and the deeper he sank into self-doubt. Until one day, he stopped. He allowed himself to sit quietly in the uncertainty, recognizing that knowing exactly why would not change the fact that it happened. Surprisingly, when he accepted that he didn't need every answer to move forward, he finally felt relief. Life started moving again, not because the answers came, but because he no longer required them to begin living fully again. It's like walking in dense fog. Most people strain their eyes, desperately trying to see clearly through the haze. They stumble, panic, and become paralyzed by the inability to predict what's ahead. But the wise person moves slowly, carefully, trusting each gentle step even when the road remains unclear. They don't force clarity, they gently embrace the unknown. They understand that the fog won't last forever, and the clarity they seek will naturally reveal itself in its own time. So ask yourself, if you never fully understand why something happened, can you still allow yourself to move forward lightly and peacefully? And here's the interesting part. The moment you stop chasing clarity, life often surprises you by offering the very insight you stopped seeking. There's something profoundly freeing when you release your grip on needing explanations. It's like entering an unfamiliar room. You don't need to know exactly how the walls were built or what materials hold the structure together. All you need is to know the chair beneath you is stable enough to sit down. Life is no different. You don't need to grasp the complexity of every moment, every emotion, every uncertainty. You just need to trust the present moment enough to fully experience it. What if you stopped right now? What if you ceased trying to interpret every silence, decode every behavior, or rationalize every emotion? How would your life immediately shift? Would your breathing slow down? Would the tension in your shoulders finally ease? Would you allow yourself the gentle luxury of simply existing without needing to justify or explain your own presence? Yet, there is still an even deeper, more powerful insight hidden beneath all of this, something profound that has the potential to completely alter your perspective on life itself. Are you ready to finally see it? Here's a profound truth that you may have always sensed deep down, yet rarely allowed yourself to fully embrace. You were never meant to understand everything. You are not here to decode the complexity of existence or endlessly analyze every uncertainty. You are here simply to live, to fully experience the depth and beauty within every uncertain moment. This insight might seem simple, yet it carries within it a transformative power, capable of freeing you from years of mental exhaustion and unnecessary suffering. Consider a young child learning to walk for the very first time. When that child stumbles and falls, do you think they pause to question the physics behind their movements? Do they analyze the balance, the gravitational pull, or the biomechanics that support each fragile step forward? Of course not. They simply rise again, trusting the process, unbothered by the need for logical clarity. They fall, they stand, they move forward, each attempt naturally building their strength and understanding. Without ever consciously needing an explanation, they eventually learn to walk, run, and explore the world around them. You too are that child. Life's deepest lessons and richest experiences often come not through understanding, but through simple, direct participation. You don't have to comprehend every emotional nuance, every unexpected change, or every unforeseen twist that your journey takes. You only need to show up fully, present in the moment, ready to rise and step forward again each time you stumble. Imagine how different your life could feel if you released yourself from the impossible burden of needing to grasp the meaning behind every situation. Imagine waking up each morning without the heavy weight of analysis pressing down on your chest. What if your relationships no longer required constant decoding? What if your conversations were simply allowed to unfold naturally, unfiltered by overthinking? How would your days transform if you permitted yourself the gentle freedom of being uncertain, without feeling threatened by that uncertainty? The truth is that the richness of life lies precisely within the unknown, within the silent spaces you don't fully understand. Your deepest, most meaningful moments rarely come neatly packaged with rational explanations or guaranteed outcomes. Rather, they emerge from subtle interactions, unexpected encounters, and moments of stillness when clarity isn't demanded, but gently allowed to surface. Perhaps your strongest connections, greatest insights, and most profound healing happen precisely when you stop trying so hard to make sense of everything, when you surrender your constant need to control, label, and predict. Ask yourself honestly, what have you truly gained from relentlessly pursuing perfect understanding? Has this effort ever brought you lasting peace, or has it simply kept you running in endless mental circles, leaving you exhausted and empty-handed? Maybe your most painful moments weren't painful because of the experiences themselves, but because you insisted on dissecting them, refusing to let go until every piece made sense. What if the only thing standing between you and genuine freedom was your insistence on clarity? What if, instead of seeking clarity, you chose presence? Instead of chasing explanations, you embraced experiences exactly as they unfolded, without needing to understand every detail, every outcome, every uncertainty? Could you begin to trust life a little more? Could you trust that your inner wisdom is enough, even without all the answers clearly laid out in front of you? Think about it. Imagine what your relationships would feel like if you approached each conversation openly, without needing to decode hidden meanings or interpret unspoken signals. Imagine how your career, your passions, your creativity could blossom if you stopped obsessively planning, predicting, or analyzing every possible scenario. What if you let yourself fully inhabit the uncertainty, the mystery, the unfinished moments, and found within them a deeper beauty, clarity, and purpose? You might realize that the peace you've been tirelessly seeking was never hiding behind perfect understanding, but in your willingness to embrace life exactly as it is. Not every question requires an answer. Not every experience needs to be explained. Sometimes, the deepest wisdom is simply acknowledging that you don't know, and finding profound freedom and relief in that simple admission. Can you feel the relief of letting go right now? Can you sense the gentle ease that accompanies accepting life's uncertainties as part of its natural rhythm? You are not weaker for not understanding everything. In fact, you become stronger, freer, more authentic when you release this need. Clarity doesn't always lead to peace. Often, the deepest peace arrives precisely when you no longer demand clarity from life. It emerges when you accept and appreciate the hidden magic of uncertainty. So, pause and ask yourself, can you allow your life to become a beautiful, spontaneous dance with uncertainty rather than an exhausting battle against it? Are you ready to finally let go of needing answers and allow yourself simply to live fully and courageously in the midst of life's unpredictable flow? But here's the deeper question that still remains. How exactly do you transform this powerful insight into a tangible, daily experience? How do you practically begin to embrace uncertainty as a doorway to genuine peace rather than a threat to your sense of security? The answer, quietly powerful and deceptively simple, lies hidden in the words that follow next. True peace has never been about knowing all the answers. It has always been about the gentle relief you feel when you finally stop pressuring yourself to understand everything. Imagine how much lighter your life could be if you simply released the exhausting expectation that every moment, every emotion, every twist in your journey must be clearly defined and understood. Could you allow yourself just this once to experience the quiet, comforting freedom of accepting uncertainty? How many times have you laid awake at night, weighed down by questions that had no immediate answers? How often have you wrestled with memories, conversations, and feelings, trying desperately to decode meanings that simply weren't there? Consider the immense relief waiting for you on the other side of letting go, allowing life to unfold naturally, without needing to micromanage its hidden meanings. Perhaps true wisdom isn't in knowing every outcome, but in finding comfort within the unknown. Perhaps true strength doesn't lie in total clarity, but in your courageous willingness to exist peacefully in ambiguity. What if the real magic of life is quietly hidden in those moments when you stop chasing explanations and simply allow yourself to be present? What would happen if, even for a day, you approach life without constantly demanding answers? Take a deep breath now and gently ask yourself, how much lighter would your heart feel? How much more clearly would you see the beauty around you if you weren't so focused on finding explanations for everything? Could you finally experience life fully, authentically, without the exhausting burden of understanding everything you encounter? When you release yourself from the constant demand for clarity, something surprising happens. Life starts making sense in an entirely new way. Synchronicities become clearer, relationships become gentler, and the present moment, your life itself, becomes richer and more meaningful. You realize that clarity was never a requirement for peace. It was always your acceptance of uncertainty that quietly brought true contentment. If you're ready, even in this moment, to experience that gentle freedom, to stop requiring life to justify every circumstance and event, then allow yourself this small, profound step. You don't have to change your entire approach overnight. You don't have to abandon your natural curiosity. You simply need to give yourself permission, gently and honestly, to stop demanding answers to everything that unfolds. Right now, you can make a subtle yet powerful shift within yourself. If you truly feel this possibility, if you sense the quiet liberation in simply accepting uncertainty, then I invite you to do something small yet deeply meaningful. Write just one simple word in the comments below: relief. Let that single word be your gentle declaration, your quiet commitment to living just a little lighter, a little freer from this moment forward. And if right now you felt even a hint of that profound relief, don't rush away just yet. Stay with me, because in the upcoming videos, I'll be sharing an entirely new perspective on how you can finally live your life without the exhausting obsession of needing perfect clarity. You don't have to carry that burden anymore. You're not alone in feeling overwhelmed by uncertainty. And you're not alone in the profound relief of finally letting it go. This journey toward gentle freedom, genuine peace, and meaningful presence is only just beginning. Are you ready to explore a new way of living? One where you no longer force yourself to have all the answers, yet find yourself feeling lighter, happier, and more deeply at peace than ever before?